There's a petition going around Etsy and social media about an Etsy strike where people are turning their shops on vacation mode on Etsy, protest some of the policies and changes that Etsy has made in the recent years or months. While I definitely respect the Etsy sellers that are organizing this and kind of what they're standing for, I personally really don't think it is worth it to participate in this Etsy strike or strikes that will come along in the future about Etsy, and here are the reasons why. Etsy has always been and will always be greedy. I'm not really sure where this narrative came from, where Etsy is like for small businesses, and they've changed a lot over the years, and they're just being really greedy and doing all these things to not support small businesses. Just like any tech company, when Etsy first started, a big part of their mission was to get as many users onto their platform as possible. It is extremely hard for tech companies to do anything if you don't have a large user base for various reasons. The majority, if not all, tech companies, when they start, their number one goal is to get as many users onto their platform as possible in any way possible. This often means that tech companies that have investors and are raising money to build a really robust platform in the future are selling their products at a loss in the beginning. Look at any big tech companies that now have a lot of users paying for their services. Companies like Uber and DoorDash and Lyft, in the beginning, their prices were so absurdly cheap. There's actually a really good article that I will link down below about this, where a lot of services that were sold for absurdly cheap because they're trying to get as many people onto their platforms to use it, where later then they can raise their prices. A lot of my friends, when they were going around San Francisco, their rides used to be literally $5 to get from city to city end, which right now is absurd if you think about it. That's very similar to Etsy. In the beginning of Etsy, they were definitely charging their services at a lower value, and sellers are upset about it because they have an unrealistic expectation that those fees will always be constant from when they began. I have never been annoyed or upset by Etsy. There's obviously website glitches that I'm frustrated by, but as a whole, in the end, it's just like a service. It's a platform where I sell things. It's not my friend. Etsy is not your friend. I should make that like a big bold thing. Etsy is not your friend. Never has been and never will be. And if you expect Etsy to be your friend or any other platform, you will be sorely disappointed. These huge companies that you are using platforms for marketing, for selling, for hosting, for anything, if you have the idea and expectations that it will be for you and it will make decisions in the best interest of the small business, you will always be continually disappointed, and that is not something I would recommend you do. Another example is Faire, which is a wholesale selling platform, has gotten a ton of traction over the years. It has a $3 billion valuation over the past 2 years. They have gotten a ton of traffic on their site. I hear a lot of small businesses now complain about how Faire used to be way better in quality. Now they kind of just let anyone in. And these complaints about Faire are very similar to the complaints about Etsy, and it's going to be a very similar complaint to whatever big platform supports small businesses that comes up next. It is a sad reality that Etsy will keep raising its fees. Faire is going to keep raising its fees. It is a reality that as their demand grows and more people come onto their platform, they're going to keep raising their fees. This definitely sucks, and I will definitely talk at the end of the video on what this means for you, but just don't be surprised as it happens. Strike is not hurting Etsy. See that big news places like NPR reported it, and there's more and more traction on it. To be really blunt, in the end, it's not going to make much of a difference. It's not really hurting Etsy's reputation, because I guarantee you in a month, this is not going to be something that people remember. 2,000 shops put their shop on vacation mode. Guess what? There's another 2 billion shops to be there and just have as many transactions. While this petition has gotten a ton of signatures, it is honestly just a drop in the bucket for the amount of sellers that are on Etsy. It might seem like it's all of Etsy because of social media, but there are a ton of shops that are not that active on social media. For strikes to work and movements to happen, there has to be new information. There has to be something that a lot of people didn't know. This strike, while again very good intention, the narrative that Etsy is greedy and it's the greed of corporate America and it's made record profits, but it's increasing the prices onto small businesses, it's unfortunately nothing new. There's some news outlets reporting on it. Unfortunately, it's not going to change anything. There are a lot of infographics running on social media about how Etsy is increasing their prices from 5% to 6.5%, which is a 30% increase, which is theoretically true. It is a 30% increase, but it's not that they're increasing their fees by 30%, right? It's not going from 5 to 35%. It is a 30% margin increase. 5 to 6.5% increase means that they are taking 15 cents for every $10 that you sell. If you cannot afford to give 15 cents for every $10 that you sell, unfortunately, your prices are too low. I see a lot of breakdowns on social media. Etsy takes this percent of my sales, and then the credit card fees takes this percent of my sales, and the listing fees is 20 cents. And look at the $4 stickers I sell. That means I only make 20 cents per sticker. It seems really sad and a lot of work to make 20 cents, which is very true. That means that you should be selling the sticker for more for your time and your effort. I know when you break down the prices that Etsy takes from the margins of your product, it seems like Etsy takes a lot and you're not making any money. It does cost a lot to sell on Etsy, but if you sell at craft fairs or if you sell on other platforms, you will know that it takes a lot of time and a lot of money to sell your products anywhere. So out of all the fees of Etsy, and you're like, wow, that is a large percentage of what I'm selling it for, add up how much it costs to sell anywhere else, and you will see that it's not only comparable, I'm actually going to guess that it's more expensive. I talked about it in last week's video, and which I'll link here. Etsy has highly motivated sellers coming onto their platform to buy from you every single day. It costs an incredible amount of money to find customers that motivated to buy anywhere else. I think that was a little blunt, and I also realized that my hat is a little dirty. Hopefully the realities I'm kind of bringing up are helpful and not harmful. I'm not trying to discourage anyone that is willing to strike, because I do think it is a very noble cause, and I think it's really cool how many shops have organized and come together, but I think in the end it's not going to do much, and it's really only going to hurt you and your shop. The reality is selling your products anywhere is really hard, and if anything, it's just getting harder and harder because the small business market is getting increasingly saturated. It's not all doom and gloom, though. There are definitely ways to put your products forward and be successful, and one of the ways is actually making sure that you are not only selling on Etsy. I know this might seem a little bit opposite of what I was talking about last week when I said that I will never get off Etsy, and it is very true. I will always keep my Etsy shop open. However, what I didn't really emphasize in last week's video is after you hit a certain point of sales, you really need to get on your own website and find out other ways to sell and not only be so reliant on Etsy. Etsy is a great place to start. It's a very risk-free way of kind of trying out new products and only spending money when you sell, because if you're going to sell on any other platform, you're going to have to pay a very high hosting fee and spend a lot of time and money just getting started. Don't put all your hopes and dreams on Etsy. Put all your hopes and dreams in you and your product. Etsy should merely be a platform that you're using to sell your products, not somewhere that you are relying to get all your sales. Are you participating in the Etsy strike, or do you have any thoughts about it? If you are participating, I think that is awesome and wonderful, and I'm glad that you made that decision for you and your shop. I will always say this in every couple of videos, but there's never any wrong or right decision in business, and you kind of have to just go with your gut and see what's working and pivot on what's not. I would love to do more videos on Etsy. If you have any specific questions, please let me know in the comments below, and I will try and address them as best I can. I will see you next week in the next video, maybe about Etsy too.